starting next week on KFAN. Beginning next Monday, we have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head to KFAN.com.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program hour number 1. Our first hour of 2026. By the way, tend to be 8 at a Mexican restaurant in San Diego on New Year's Day called Pueblo.
Yeah.
We were the first customers of 2026.
Really?
They didn't give us anything for it, but so I was the first person to sit down, first person to order, first person to take a bite of food. First. The only time I remember first, so that was kind of fun. 5, 3, 4 now here.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1. NFL No Huddle.
Common, which head coach firing today surprises you the most? A, John Gannon in Arizona. B, Pete Carroll in Las Vegas. C, Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. Or D, Raheem Morris in Atlanta.
I would say Raheem Morris in Atlanta. I think he had back-to-back 8 and 9 seasons. They win 4, 5, 6, 7 games to finish the season.
6, 7.
Again, that's sort of like the Vikings, winning games that are relatively meaningless. Well, they were meaningless as far, other than if you're counting the building block stuff. Pete Carroll, it's like, I'm ready to say the game is past.
But he was only there for 1 year.
Yeah, just wasn't good. Stefanski's been in Cleveland a long time, right? He's had plenty of time.
He's been coach of the year twice.
Has he really?
Yeah.
I don't know. That would be the one, I guess. Morris was the one that would probably surprise you. How about you?
I guess the Pete Carroll one, just because he was just there for 1 year, right? I mean, it's not often a guy gets fired after 1 year, especially a guy of his pedigree that's had success in the past.
Right,
it's not like he was some young guy that you're trying as a head coach for the first time and then realized, he can't coach. So, but, I think Tom Brady will be making decisions on the next coach.
Maybe Tom Brady will be the coach.
Maybe. Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers are heading to the playoffs after last night's 26-24 win over the Baltimore Ravens. Common, what'd you think of last night's roller coaster game? And can Rodgers bring back some magic in the postseason?
No, their first game is against
Houston. Yeah, they're going to have a problem.
I think they could have a problem against Houston. That defense is really good, though. Yesterday, they gave up all sorts of points. I don't know if some of those were defensive-generated points by the opposition, but it was a fun game to watch. Pittsburgh was down early, 10-0. You felt for the Pittsburgh kicker. I don't openly weep for these guys, but they're just they sit on they're like the Maytag repairman guy, right? They just sit there lonely on the sidelines all by themselves. Many games go by where they're really not a factor late in the game. I mean, they kick a couple field goals during the game, kick a couple extra points, and kind of just hang out on the sidelines. But when the game comes, especially when it's win or go home, though Pittsburgh wouldn't have had to have gone home, they were already had. But he misses an extra point. I think it was his first extra point miss of the year. And I thought the Ravens were going to win.
It looked like one of my golf shots, too, by the way.
Correct. Then the Ravens drive down, and they get in Figgy range. And then that kid lets, what is his name, Loop?
Yeah.
But that kid's name? Loop threw the Ravens for a loop. He misses and lets the, who's the kid for Pittsburgh's name?
Boswell.
He lets Boswell off the hook, because Boswell would have been the one all off season. Think about when Boswell would have got up this morning, and the first thing he would have thought about was last night's game. Same way with the Loop guy. I mean, that's a change. You kick that Figgy, you're in. He misses, and so it was fun. And the gal that's doing I can't think of her name. She was doing the post game. She tried to ask Aaron if this was his. I don't know how she asked the question about. I mean, I can't remember how she phrased it, but she basically asked, "Are you riding off into the sunset?" And he kind of went, "Well, no. We're just happy to win this." He's not. I don't think he's made any determination in his head whether he's going to retire or not. But that's a question.
Well, he can still play at a decent enough level.
Absolutely.
I think he wants to make another run in the playoffs.
I think he does as well.
Can I say something controversial here?
That's interesting.
About that game last night? I want to know your thoughts on before Loop kicks that field goal. Baltimore had 14 seconds on the clock. They had a timeout, and they opted for the Lamar Jackson, takes a knee, a yard or two behind the line of scrimmage, basically to let the clock run down and also get it to the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I get there is risk in running the ball and potentially fumbling a ball. But I'm not a fan of intentionally losing yards, especially when you had a play where you could still gain some yards. I hand the ball off to Derrick Henry there, try to gain 4 or 5 yards. The difference between what ended up being a 44, and I get a 44-yard field goal is a chip shot for these guys, most of these guys these days. But to me, the potential of getting that to 36-37, where it's almost a gimme as opposed to 44, I would run the ball there. I get it. You can fumble the ball and make a huge mistake there. But I don't like just intentionally losing yards there.
I agree with you. I tend to agree with you. It's you could have get it to Derrick Henry. You could have the quarterback just go forward.
The quarterback sneak.
Yeah, quarterback sneak.
Yeah.
Roll out right, and I would have done the same thing. I agree.
All right, last one. Your Lions beat the Bears 19-16 yesterday in Chicago. Common, did the Bears' performance give you any pause on how they will fare in the playoffs?
Well, it's different than it was. 2 losses in a row to close the season. And the Kitties, this is what... I don't remember who was calling the game yesterday even. But what they said was the Lions play man almost all the time. All of a sudden they come out and start the game playing zone, and they think that may have thrown Ben Johnson off. I don't know. I didn't expect that kind of performance from Detroit, as bad as they played against. And give the Vikings credit. I was at that game. Vikings played a good game against Detroit. They really did. That defense is really good, and they've got some nice pieces. Flores always seems to wreak havoc on most, not every team. There are teams that score points on them. We've seen it even this year. But I didn't expect Detroit to win the game. I thought they would get steamrolled by the Bears because the Bears had more to play for, right? Mm-hmm. But it does make you wonder. The Bears have been that, the old cardiac kids. I think did they set an NFL record for the most come from behind victories with 2 minutes or less to go. I think that's what
they had a lot of them this year.
It was 6 of them. That would have been 7 yesterday.
6, 7.
6, 7. So sometimes your luck kind of runs out, but I still think they're coming. I think the Rams are still dangerous.
They'd still be my pick.
Yeah, and then it's hard. Seattle with Darnold's playing solid. They have a good running game. Their defense is as good as any defense in the league. I would still, and I know it's easy to, you're gonna go with the number 1 seed. Yeah, I am. I like the way Seattle's playing.
Question number 2.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the welfare of the Wolves.
Anthony Edwards scored 35 points despite even sitting out the fourth quarter as the Wolves dominated the Washington Wizards 141-115. Rudy Gobert tallied 18 points and 14 rebounds for his 15th double-double of the season, helping the Wolves outscore Washington 76-48 in the paint. Julius Randle added 22 points as Minnesota finished the road trip 3-1. Common, what sticks out to you from the Wolves' dominating win last night?
I don't know. I guess that when they're interested, they and they play connected. That's the seems like that's the word I'm looking for. Connected seems to be the catchphrase for the Wolves when they play connected and actually decide, hey, let's earn our paychecks. Let's go out and actually play a game. They play well. They're a good club, but I don't recall which game it was. They lost to another. They lost back-to-back games to terrible teams. And after the one, Ant was beside himself. Matter of fact, he left the court, right? He just left. there were 6-7 minutes to go in the game. And they were getting crushed. They were 20, 30, 40 points behind, something like that. And so at that point, if what I read is correct, if I read it correctly, Finch decided to empty the bench. Ant was annoyed by that, and Ant walked off the floor and went to the locker room.
Oh.
No! You can't do that. But you know what I do? I guess what I like about Ant is that I think it does bother him. I think he wants to win, and he wants to win now. And my guess is he still felt like, well, if you keep us in the game, we can come back, which I don't think they could. But he, after that game, he said, I guess that's just Timberwolves basketball. That's just Timberwolves basketball. We'll see if it gets any better as the season progresses. I guess they just make the tournament and move on from there.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually, 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
How about a little puck talk next?
Sure.
Let's talk to Tennessee about the Jolly Green Giant, about the Wild. We'll do that next here on The Fan.
Discover the future of Minnesota music at First Avenue's Best New Bands, Saturday, January 17th. The main room lights up with Shoots. Now it says GR3G. GR3G. I don't know if it's Greg with the 3 spelled backwards
Greg
or not, but
LaSalle. LaSalle feels like the first time.
Magent and the Birdwatcher.
My gift is my song, girl. This one's for you.
And more. Doors at 6:30. Show at 7.
Are they back together again?
It says Doors at 6:30.
Wow.
Show at 7. Get the full details on the events calendar at KFAN.com.
I'd be definitely there to see the Doors. Well, you know what? Flop, Sweat, and Tears, 31st. Doors at 6:30. So if you want to catch the Doors before you see Meat Sauce.
How about them opening up for you guys?
Think about it. I'm about to say something controversial. I'm going to take it another step. If Darnold stays with the Vikings, they're the number 1 seed, and Seattle doesn't make the playoffs. You saw that defense play the last 5 weeks, all season long. If Darnold is the starting quarterback for the Vikings, they're the number 1 seed, resting everybody, and Seattle doesn't even make postseason play. Next, I'm told by a hockey person I trust that the Wild might have a face-off issue in their defensive zone. The Ducks ran a face-off play on their first goal against the Wild that was almost identical to a play the Jets ran at the end of the second to score. Do you think that's just coincidence? Do you think there's a weakness there? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? It's a gadfly that sent me that and said, see if you can get Tennessee going with this.
I don't recall the exact goal situation. I don't recall the face-off versus the Jets. I would just say, once again, the Wild are not a great face-off team. And that's basically been an evergreen statement throughout the entire history of their franchise. So I would think before the trade deadline, we got about 2 months here?
Yep.
Before the trade deadline, I'm not certain Billy G's done. I think he's going to push the chips in. And a center who could win some faceoffs, I think, might be on that list.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have any names of centers that, I know you have names of centers. You could name every center in the National Hockey League, but ones that you think might actually be available, that are good because teams aren't maybe playing as well as they want to, and blah, blah, blah. And so they'd be willing to part ways with quality.
I'm going to have to relook at the standings to see where some of the teams are. Because the one guy who was on my wish list forever was Tage Thompson, and then Buffalo went off and reeled 10 games in a row, 10-game winning streak, and at least put them in position where they can get close to a playoff spot now, as opposed to being a surefire seller at the bottom, where Tage might want out. The one guy now, as of right now, the Nashville Predators are a point out of a playoff spot. So, things are, over the next 2 months, positioning will get moved around a little bit, and Nashville could be in, they could be out, they could be on the bubble. But if they slide back at all, the one name being thrown out, at least from a pure faceoff guy, is Ryan O'Reilly, who forever has been a Minnesota Wild killer. He's one of the best in the league in the face-off. He'd be great in your bottom six. He could add offense to your bottom six, but he can also kill penalties. And like I said, like every defensive zone face-off, you could throw him out there and win a lot more than you're winning. So I think that would be a name that has been thrown out. Now, another name, though they're back in the playoffs right now.
Okay.
Sid the Kid. Sidney Crosby.
No way.
He's getting up there in age. He might want one last run to win a cup. Billy G used to be the assistant GM there, so they know each other. They have a relationship. So that might be a little bit of a... Ultimately, I'd love Tage Thompson here.
Right. And
because then you're going to have them not just... Ryan O'Reilly and Sidney Crosby we're trying to win it in 2026. Tage Thompson is, we're going to win in 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029.
Money is really no object either, right? I mean, there's always a salary cap, and I get that, but we got money to play with, right?
For this year, it's not. But Kaprizov's contract kicks in next year.
Oh, I thought that was.
If you want to look further down the line, you're hoping to re-sign. As of this upcoming offseason, you'd like Quinn Hughes to re-sign here.
Sure,
that's going to be a big raise. So. For 2026, you can buy rentals. They have plenty to buy a big name rental.
Okay.
But moving forward for, next 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, I would think money would get a little dicier.
While I was in the warmth and sunshine of Palm Springs, the furthest thing from my mind was Wild hockey. No offense, No. How they played the past week since I've been gone. When I left, they were red hot. Couldn't be beat. Same.
I'm trying to remember past this weekend. You're having I suppose since obviously they had the Christmas break. They were out for a couple days.
That's right.
My memory is only bringing me back to
but we're good.
Anaheim and the LA Kings over the weekend.
We're still really good.
Yeah. You doubted Quinn Hughes. He had 4 assists on Friday night against the Anaheim Ducks. 4
assists in one game?
And basically it was they weren't like assists where you pass it to Kaprizov. Kaprizov made some play to set up Zuccarello, and you get a second assist. He was the primary. 3 of the 4 were just shots from the points.
So I should take back my calling for Guerin's head. Did I do that? I can't remember if I did that or not. It sounds like something I would have said.
But you're saying, Booyum is better than Quinn Hughes. Is basically what you're going with.
Well, what I was going with, I was looking at after the trade, Vancouver was 5-0, or we were 5-0, and we were 5-1. So I said, their record since the trade is better than our record since the trade. Maybe we should have just stuck with the guys we had. Because my theory, too, was we were already one of the best teams in the league before the trade, but I think you've talked me off the ledge, as have others, in that getting the mighty Quinn was the best thing this team could have done.
So now that I'm looking back at the schedule, because I can't remember what happened a week ago. So basically since the Christmas break, they beat the Jets in overtime at Winnipeg. So they've been on the road the entire time because they've had the World Juniors, which was just the gold medal matches tonight.
Zach on the call?
I don't know if they're doing that one or not because USA's not in it. I have to ask him. Yeah, it says gold medal game if USA is playing. So it doesn't look like USA got knocked out in the quarters. But last Monday, they just dismantled the Vegas Golden Knights at their place. That was, and then they lost in a shootout to San Jose. San Jose has got their number a little bit. That Celebrini kid just seems to have his way with us. Beat the Anaheim Ducks pretty convincingly Friday night, and then, you lose in a shootout Saturday night in kind of a weird game where there was a lot of puck luck going on in that game. Just you're giving up some weird, wonky goals. Now, the Wild tied the game also on a wonky goal itself, but they get the Kings again tonight.
How have the Lanch been playing?
I'd have to look. I'm assuming they're basically in the same spot they once were. Yeah, they're 11 points ahead of the Wild. They're 31-3-7.
Wow. And don't we have somebody between us and the Lanch, too?
Well, we're not tied with the Stars.
Oh, we are.
Now, they have a game in hand, so technically they're in second place, we're in third place, but we've now gotten to the point points-wise where we're tied for the second most points in the National Hockey League.
Can you give me a little John Edwards there? Send a little message out to the, no, that was Howard Dean.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Objects in your mirror may be closer than they appear.
little message to the Stars. And I bet this makes you really happy because you just hate the Stars so much because they left here.
Well, we're going to play them in a playoff series. I think that's pretty clear at this point, right?
Okay.
Both teams are 11 points behind Colorado. And then the next team from the Central Division would be the Nashville Predators, 42 points. They're 16 points behind the Wild. So the Wild are facing the Dallas Stars in the first round. I guess I'd rather play it at home if I could. So let's at least get home ice advantage for that series.
Okay. So, as we like to do, we don't do this on a monthly basis. We usually do it on a yearly basis, but maybe we should. Monthly, I would say right now, the four major men's sports here in town, the Wild have the best chance to win it all. You could say the Wolves might be a close
I think the
second.
Wolves are in that mix.
Yeah, they're in that mix. Just the West is so tough. Of course, it's tough for us too because we've got the Lanch, but and the Twins look like they might not ever even win a game again, much less contend for a world championship.
They're sending guys to minor league contracts in free agency.
And the Vikings, I don't know. Again, things can change quickly in the National Football League, as we know.
Yeah.
That's why we call it the National Football League. But, I would say that. We'll talk more Vikings and a couple of other topics along the way. It's Common and Tennessee. Mark Rosen will join us tomorrow about 2 o'clock. And then I think the first episode of Rock Talk and Rock Rank will be Wednesday with Brian Oak. Is the coach doing a end of the season news conference anytime? The head coach of the Vikings?
It has not been scheduled. I know the locker room is open today, but the email I got showed nothing about KOC.
Okay,
so I would assume KOC and Kwesi at some point this week.
I would think so. And when they start
probably during Rock Talk when we got to move Rock Talk. That's when it's going to be.
When they start yapping, we'll have it for you right here on the Fan. Short break. Come back with more after this.
Look to take two and give none in L.A. as they battle with the Kings tonight. Puck drop is just after 9:30 p.m. Hear every goal, every save, and every game-changing moment right here on your home for Wild Hockey, KFAN.
Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man forward. I suppose we could open up the talkbacks and get some ideas from Viking listeners.
Sure.
Why not? We've got time to kill. Download the iHeartRadio app if you haven't done so already. Search for stations, find the Fan. You'll see a microphone icon in the corner of the screen. You tap it, you have 30 seconds or less to deliver us a message. We'll call through some of those and play them. Get some ideas of what people think of where the team's been, where it's at, and where it's going. We've had plenty of disagreement with the host and the interim regarding the Vikings. I think we both I can't remember. Would you have liked to have seen them re-sign Darnold or sign Rodgers, or did you like going full steam ahead with McCarthy?
I didn't mind at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, looking back at it now, I think it's clear they made the wrong decision. I can at least change my mind, unlike some of these emailers. I can at least change my mind and go, they probably screwed that up and should have. But at the time, we had seen very little of McCarthy. I just remember him being brilliant in a preseason game 2 years ago. And I liked him out of college. And I did not think this year would be this disastrous for him. But I am having some doubts about it now.
This one says, this is from Core Competency Guy, says, Common, so your New Year's resolution is to continue to repeat your same take on the Vikings that you've aired every day on your show for the last 6 months. Nice adjustment for the NFL postseason. Two things. Blame the Vikings for that.
I always love that.
We'd be already moving on and talking our first postseason matchup or our first round bye had they not totally screwed up the quarterback situation.
And if they'd stopped Devin Duvernay.
Yeah, or if they'd stopped Devin Duvernay.
Yeah.
That's not my fault, so blame them. Plus, as I also said to him in my response, because the Purple laid an egg, we got a lot of time to kill. And we need to kill a lot of time. So trust me, we are we're going to talk.
We're going to be talking a lot of J.J. McCarthy over basically until the draft.
Yeah, and we'll be talking a lot about just Vikings. Well, I mean, it's just the day after the season ended. We're doing a little bit of a post-mortem in a would-have, should-have, could-have. What would have happened had they made some different decisions? I still haven't heard one media member locally ask the Vikings head coach, with hindsight being 2020, do you regret not signing Sam Darnold or Aaron Rodgers for 1 year? I think he'd say no, but I'd like to hear it.
Yeah.
Because I just think they would have been a better team with either one of those.
I was reading, was it Seifert I was reading a couple days ago? Basically like going back all the way through the decisions they were making last year.
Saw that, yeah.
Yeah, with Darnold. And that basically like Daniel Jones apparently threw a wrench in their plans. Yeah. That they wanted Daniel Jones to be here to compete. And then when he went to Indy, Darnold had already been gone by then. And, it sounds like they wanted.
I guess I didn't read that piece.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Oh, yeah. And it was the old, there were some that wanted Aaron Rodgers, but they were worried that, Rodgers is a guy that basically is going to, change plays at the line of scrimmaging. And,
right.
That he would go away from the offense so that McCarthy wouldn't be able to learn through him, which is why they opted to just go with McCarthy.
This one says, in 2 seasons, if Darnold has not won a big game, which is very likely, my guess is no one in the Vikings organization is going to say, well, he played well, so we should have given him a 3-year contract. They'll be able to use that money to sign 3 or 4 different players each season to fill other holes on the team. If Darnold does win a big game, then I guess they will regret letting him go. Odds are it will be the first scenario. Is it that simple to say we could have? People keep coming about the money we saved and spent. First of all, the going rate for a really good quarterback is a lot more than $33 million. That was a bargain. As you have said, he has outperformed his contract. Second of all, am I missing something? The 2 guys we signed on the defensive line and offensive line, do you think the Vikings organization, do you think they got what they paid for? Fries played every game.
None of them were game changers.
Yeah, Fries played every game.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, he was fine. The other guy, God bless him, he missed most of the games because of concussion. So I don't know what we were paying him, but that was money that was not well spent. Mm-hmm. Now, you don't know that until the season starts. Who are the 2 defensive guys?
Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen.
How would you grade them, Pro Football Focus?
Jonathan Allen's been okay.
Yeah. So people want to keep bringing that up. Well, at the time when they signed them, I was all in too. I said, veteran players that had played very well in their careers, coming off injuries. They're a little rough around the edges, a little long in the tooth, but if they stay healthy and can play as they have played before, those are good. Well, it didn't work out. So to keep going back to that, we wouldn't have those guys. Those guys didn't earn their keep. They didn't play up to their contract.
Well, even after signing them all, they had plenty of cap space last year. They could have afforded Aaron Rodgers with that money.
Aaron took the minimum.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers didn't even take what Darnold is taking.
Yeah. So,
what did he get, 20?
I don't think he got that. I don't even think it was that, but I don't know for sure. Received this email at comment at KFAN.com. It says, listen to your show today. The both of you were talking about the Vikings and the Lions, and you said something about the Lions are going to win the division in 2026.
Yeah, that was me.
That's a joke, in my opinion. Yeah, some people in the Vikings decision-making group need to be fired for thinking that J.J. McCarthy was the answer. What a joke that was. But if you guys think the Lions are going to win the division next year after ending up in last place this year, that's kind of preposterous. Knowing that you're a Lions fan, take the beer goggles off, brother. If the Vikings get Joe Burrow from Cincinnati, Vikings will be a contender again. Well, yeah.
That'll change my opinion if we get Joe Burrow.
And you know what? If they get Patrick Mahomes, they're going to be a contender, especially if they keep the defensive coordinator. Yeah, I know getting Burrow might be a stretch, but one can always hope.
But, by the way, also, didn't he say in there to think that Dallas or Detroit could go from last place to win the division? That's exactly what Chicago did this year.
Yeah.
They were last place last year.
Well, and if you follow the lines, and look, I always expect only the lines is one of my favorite sayings that I just made up. But if you look at their team, Amon-Ra St. Brown's coming back. If everybody comes, I think a couple of players have potential free agency. Montgomery, I think, is going to be.
Their core is tied up.
Well,
and they have the best core in the division.
Yeah. And their offensive line was beat up, much like the Vikings.
Yeah.
They have a couple of young guys that are making some progress.
Their tight end was hurt all year.
Their defense, again, was ravaged in the secondary. Branch, Terry Arnold, and Kirby were all out the entire year. Those guys are game changers for the Lions. I'm not saying they're the best in the league. So, again, it all depends on health. It's not like the cupboard's bare over there.
Like I said, I think they have the best core in the division.
I think they do as well.
They're going to face the Arizona Cardinals next year. Well, we have to face the 49ers. Then the other two teams have to face the Rams and the Seahawks.
Yeah. It's
now all of them are going through the NFC South next year. So the division, the schedule for all the teams will get easier next year.
Yeah. This text says Jalen Redmond outplayed both the defensive line guys by country mile. And he was just supposed to be the spot rotational guy, which
he was their best player. Yeah.
Wasn't he? Was he one of those undrafted free agent guys?
He's the reason Harrison Phillips got traded.
Yeah. So
he was great. He had a good year.
We signed Grenard and Van Ginkel on the assumption we had a rookie scale. I'd have to go back and check that, but if that's what he says, in other words, he said the money we would have spent.
Did they both get re-signed? I know Van Ginkel got an extension last year. Did Grenard get one too?
I don't know. That's what he claims.
I mean, he got a contract 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then there's the question of whether Flores is coming. B-Flow is coming back. B-Flow he's not under contract. Matter of fact, doesn't his contract expire like Friday or something? It's sometime, I think, in the next week or two. His contract just expires. He's good at what he does. The Viking defense is, statistically, they're as good as anybody in the league, right? I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to sign him or not. The idea that
I think it's up to him.
I think it's up to him, but I also think I because of this lawsuit that he has against the league, the smart money says, what I read locally and nationally is that there might not be a lot of ownership groups or owners that are interested in signing a guy as their head coach, a guy that's suing the league. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that, I suppose it's a factor, but I don't know if that's a deal breaker, right? Where it's like, well, there's no way I'm going to go after Brian Flores because he's suing the league. He was head coach at Miami, right?
Yes.
Then there's the idea he might go somewhere else as a defensive coordinator if he wanted to, right? Coaches don't come under a salary cap, though, right? You can pay him whatever you want. So if
he's going elsewhere as just a D coordinator, then there is some division between him and KOC or him and the other coaches, right? Like, why would he do that?
Right. Yeah, that's it, because he's got a nice situation here. There's no doubt.
I think he's going to try to become a head coach. If he isn't, then he's just trying to use as much leverage he can to get as much money here as he can. But it wouldn't make a lot of sense to go elsewhere. And unless I said he just has division with other coaches that he can't get past.
Right. Here's a text that says, can Burrow stay on the field for an entire season? That's another question.
That is a problem.
He missed.
I'd still take the risk because if he's playing, he's a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
Those guys aren't easy to find. It's actually, even though it hasn't worked out in Cincinnati, it's actually like the years he's healthy, you have a chance to win it all. The years he's not healthy, you're going to have a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Rug slinging guy here. My hot take is if the Vikings don't bring in a mover and a shaker at the QB position, like a Burrow or a Lamar, they'll find themselves in the exact same spot next year. Middle of the road, missing the playoffs with a middle round pick. Yeah, if you don't see some fairly drastic improvement, I think the plan all along was if those interior pieces on both sides of the line played like the Vikings had hoped they would, they had a lot of core pieces coming back. They had 2 wide receivers they really trust. They like Hawkinson at tight end. We know their defense they weren't able to generate a lot of pass rush from their interior line, and that's why they went out and got those guys. I think they thought they could slowly bring McCarthy along in that because the defense was they expected it to play really well, that they could maybe win some low-scoring games and McCarthy could learn on the fly. He didn't get much of a chance because he missed so much of the season this year. He missed, he played like 9 or 10 games out of a possible 30-something? I mean, he just hasn't played much. And so next year, I don't know how much of a jump he can take from the end of this season to game 1 next season. I don't know. So the text messenger, he brings up a good point. It's like if McCarthy doesn't make a big jump next year, they're probably going to be the same kind of a team this year as they were this past season. But that'll remain.
Well, if you can't make a jump, then you're in full rebuild mode.
Correct.
I got to find that story I referenced earlier because Kurt Warner had some comments about J.J. McCarthy.
Oh,
they were a little eye-opening.
Well, yeah, he's taken heat from a number of people, national guys, here over the past few weeks. Comment after yelling at the TV all last year, multiple games for Darnold to throw the ball. There's one play on the first drive at the goal line where Seattle didn't win the whole thing. Won't win the whole thing. Darnold drops back. There's one receiver going out for a pass. The receiver in the flat, he stares at him, and the defender is 5 yards from him. It's a tutty, and he froze, saw a ghost, just like the playoff game last year. Listen to the announcer's reaction on that play. If you want to believe that. Here's what I guess this is what I can't figure out with people that are so down on Darnold. I think the real reason is they were so bitter about how we played against Detroit last year and how bad McCarthy was. We don't want to believe that Darnold is a good quarterback. Can't be. I don't want him to be because then that would mean we did make a mistake. He went it's not all him. He went 14-3 2 years in a row. He played really well against San Francisco.
There's a section of the fan base that wanted to believe it wasn't Darnold, it was the quarterback whisperer that made him what he was last year.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is.
Can I read like 5 paragraphs for you?
Sure.
This is from Kevin Seifert, ESPN. Had an entire long breakdown on the quarterback situation for the Vikings. The Vikings side for number 30 in the NFL in completion percentage above expected. McCarthy and his receivers share responsibility for those numbers, but Kurt Warner said it demonstrates his view that McCarthy isn't, quote, a natural thrower. McCarthy's arm strength is NFL caliber, Warner said, but his tendency to throw maximum velocity passes decreases the time that receivers can adjust to inaccurate throws in the air. And Warner said it is a, quote, very hard and very rare thing, quote, for a player to dramatically improve accuracy at the pro level. Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen is the poster boy for doing so, Warner acknowledged, but he is the exception to the rule. Allen completed 52.8% of his passes as a rookie in 2018, but improved that to 69.2% in his third season after polishing his mechanics. Warner said, quote, the beautiful thing about Josh is, he's got a big arm, but he doesn't overthrow it very often. He does a great job of taking something off, of throwing what I call a firm but soft ball, a nice little arc on it, easy for his guys to adjust to and catch the ball. That's another factor when you engage your body and not your arm. That shows itself in something that JJ struggles with right now. And so I'm not a proponent that believes a lot of guys get dramatically better with accuracy over time because it takes so much work and it's understanding those little nuances.
Yeah. And again, Kurt Warner's not the final word, and Josh Allen did do it, but like he says, the exception to the rule. And Josh Allen, I'm not ready to say he's a generational quarterback, but he is. You could make that argument that he's that good, and maybe if McCarthy is that guy, that would be wonderful. But this one says, don't forget Darnold had 20 turnovers this season, might even be the league leader among quarterbacks. That's always been an issue with them, and it doesn't look like they ever got that fixed. On the broadcast on Saturday, I'm not paying as close attention to Sam Darnold or the Seattle Seahawks as I once did, but what they seem to indicate in the telecast, Buck and Aikman, I think were they doing the game? Would that have been a Saturday night game that they did? They seemed to indicate that he'd done a much better job of taking care of the football, and he didn't turn it over against San Francisco. Now,
and that's been an issue for him this season.
That has been an issue. But here's the point I was trying to make. not and I've said this before, not everybody can have Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen, right? You just can't. So there are tiers of quarterbacks you have to have, and you have to take the good with the bad. With Darnold, I guess you got some gunslinger. You're going to have to face the facts. He's probably going to turn over the ball a few times. You got to live with it. I mean, what else are you going to do?
But he can also make plays, and his defense is elite.
That's it. So it's like, I would think if you ask...
You can win with that. Clearly, they're number one seed.
Yeah, they've won 14-3. So you can say all you want that Darnold has a lot of flaws, and he does.
I think he has some flaws. I don't think he has a lot of flaws.
Some flaws. You can say he has flaws. Well, there are a lot of quarterbacks. Almost every quarterback in the league, with the exception of a handful of the top tier guys, they've got flaws. They just do. So I take it. I don't. Darnold went 0 for 4 in games that counted for us last year. Move on. See, that's what they say. Okay.
What were the games that counted for us other than Detroit in the playoff game?
Yeah.
What are the other two?
I don't know.
So you win 13-0 in games that didn't count?
Yeah. Viking fans are in denial. Many of them. I'm getting a lot of them that agree, that say probably should have went another direction. And, at the end of the day, we've said this over and over, McCarthy might end up learning a lot during the offseason, preseason, get better, and training camp, and become a better quarterback. But, again, how long will that take? This was a year where the Vikings spun their wheels. And they actually took a step back.
Yes.
They were 14-3 last year, and in the playoffs this year, they're 9-8, and they missed. And it took 5 meaningless wins to get to 9-8. But if it wasn't for Devin Duvernay,
they were eliminated like a month ago.
Yeah, exactly. Let's pause, come back, talk some more National Football League here on the Fan.